Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you work, you just can't seem to get ahead financially? Well, what if I told you that it's actually not your fault? What if the entire game was fundamentally altered over 50 years ago? Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving deep into the 1971 Nixon shock and exactly why history is practically repeating itself right now in a way that frankly everyone needs to be paying attention to. Just look at this number on the screen, 87%. Since 1971, the US dollar has lost 87% of its purchasing power. Honestly, just let that sink in for a second. That is massive.
You work hard, you save your money, you play by the rules. But somehow you still feel like you can't afford a house or just get ahead. Every single year your money buys a little bit less. Now we're usually told it's our own fault, right? Budget better, skip the coffee, spend less. But what if it's not your fault? What if the rules of money were secretly rigged on one specific Sunday night over 50 decades? Actually, scratch that, over 50 years ago.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the Gold Standard Era. So to really grasp what broke, we have to look at how things used to be. Back in 1944, at the Bretton Woods conference, a new global system was set up. Basically, every major currency was pegged to the US dollar. And the US dollar? Well, it was solidly backed by physical gold, fixed at exactly $35 an ounce. That was the whole setup. It was simple, elegant, and absolutely crucial. It was disciplined. See, governments couldn't just print money out of thin air, because every single new paper dollar had to be matched by actual physical gold sitting in a vault somewhere. It created a literal hard ceiling on money creation.
And that ceiling? It really protected everyday folks. From 1944 up to 1971, U.S. inflation averaged less than 2% a year. Because of this super sound money system, a factory worker on just a single income could actually afford to buy a house, raise a whole family, and retire securely. They had money that held its purchasing power while they slept. But, as you can probably guess, everything changed.
Which brings us to Section 2, the 1971 Nixon shock. This is the exact moment the historical financial system essentially broke down. It's a Sunday evening. Families are sitting around watching TV, and suddenly President Richard Nixon interrupts the broadcast. No prior debate, no warning. He gets on screen and delivers this exact quote. "I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold." Now, the absolutely crucial word here is temporarily. Because, well, it's been over 50 years, and that gold window, it has literally never reopened. That single Sunday night broadcast severed the dollar from gold forever. So why did he do it? It really boils down to a pretty straightforward cause and effect. Step 1. America had been spending way beyond its means. We were funding the space race, massive social programs, and the Vietnam War. And we did it by just printing more dollars. Step 2. Foreign nations started doing the math. France, for example, realized the US had printed far more dollars than it actually had gold to back them up with. So they literally sailed ships over to collect their physical gold, which, by the way, was their absolute legal right under the old system. And step 3. Nixon faced a brutal choice. He either had to stop the spending or change the rules. And, well, he chose to rewrite the rules entirely to avoid a default. Let's move on to Section 3, the cost of fiat money. First, let's clearly define what we're actually dealing with here. A fiat currency is basically money backed by absolutely nothing, except a government's promise. When money is no longer tied to a hard asset like gold, that protective ceiling we talked about, it's completely removed. It gives governments this dangerous new power to just print money endlessly. Now, printing money might sound somewhat harmless until you really look at the basic math. Imagine a super simple economy, okay? There are 10 apples and $10 in total existence. So each apple costs exactly $1. It's clean, it's fair. But now let's say the government decides to print 10 more dollars. The catch is, there are still only 10 apples. So now you have $20 chasing those exact same 10 apples. The result? Each apple now costs $2. Your savings didn't change, your paycheck didn't change, but your actual purchasing power was just sliced right in half. That is exactly how printing money silently destroys your wealth. And the real-world impact of this fiat inflation is honestly jaw-dropping. Just look at the data. Back in 1971, the median home was about $24,000. Today, it's over $420,000. College tuition, that's up over 3,000% in real terms. Meanwhile, real wage growth for the median worker has basically just stayed flat. It's a massive squeeze. In fact, researchers have put together dozens of charts on a site called WTF Happened in 1971, and they track everything. We're talking wealth inequality, productivity gaps, you name it. And almost every single chart shows these massive negative economic divergences starting exactly in that year. It's really not a coincidence, guys. It is pure cause and effect.
That takes us right into Section 4, today's debt sequel.
You see, 1971 wasn't just some isolated history lesson. It was a playbook. And the scary part? It's being run again right now. Think back to March 2020. The economy completely freezes. So from 2020 to 2022, the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury inject over $6 trillion directly into the economy. The total money supply grew by a staggering 40% in just 24 months. And the mathematically predictable result of all that printing? By 2022, inflation hit 9.1%, a 40-year high. Your grocery bill, your rent, everything skyrocketed, simply because the dollars sitting in your wallet were suddenly worth a whole lot less.
But here is where the present-day urgency really hits home. The U.S. national debt has now crossed an unbelievable $34 trillion. To put that into perspective, we are now paying over $1 trillion a year just in interest. Let that sink in. We are literally borrowing new money just to pay the interest on the money we already borrowed. It's a massive debt spiral. And the exit options for the government right now, they are brutally limited. Let's look at them. Option 1, cut government spending. Well, politically, that's highly unlikely. Option 2, raise taxes massively. Again, incredibly unpopular. Which really only leaves option 3, print more money to inflate the debt away. It is by far the easiest, fastest exit strategy for them, but it completely destroys the purchasing power of your dollars in the process. Like I said, we have definitely seen this movie before. Which leads us to our final part, Section 5, how to protect yourself. Now, throughout history, whenever a currency gets debased like this, people who understand the game position themselves to protect their assets. But before we go through this framework, I want to be crystal clear. This explainer is an impartial analysis of historical strategies based on our source material. This is purely for educational purposes and is absolutely not direct financial advice. You should always consult a licensed professional for your specific situation. Okay, so based on the historical data from our sources, here are 5 common hedges used during periods of currency debasement. Number 1, hard assets like gold and silver. Basically, physical things that governments cannot print. Number 2, real estate. The idea here is that if you hold a fixed-rate mortgage, your actual debt shrinks in real value as inflation rises. Number 3, productive equities. Owning pieces of solid companies that provide real goods is a classic, time-tested hedge. Number 4, Bitcoin. The core argument for this one is its fixed supply cap of 21 million. It's mathematically uninflatable, so it acts as digital scarcity in an infinite fiat world. And finally, number 5, build multiple income streams. In a highly inflationary environment, your absolute greatest asset is your own ability to generate income that outpaces the debasement of the money supply. The rules of money fundamentally changed over 50 years ago, and those exact same forces of money printing and massive debt, they are in full motion again today. Really, the only variable that changes is whether or not you actually understand what's happening. So I want to leave you with a quick question to think about. Did you ever learn about the Nixon shock in school? Yes or no? Make sure to subscribe, my channel's like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay informed, and thanks for joining me on this explainer.